Welcome to the Underground, the Steel City Underground, the black and gold standard for Pittsburgh Steelers coverage. Now, here's your host, Terry Fletcher.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Steel City Underground WTF Podcast. My name is Terry Fletcher. So this was a good week for us. We actually won a game, thank goodness. When I say us, I mean the Pittsburgh Steelers. Here's something pretty funny. With that win, I was watching the Sunday night football game, and they put up the NFC and AFC standings. And here's a what the football moment. The Steelers were at the bottom of the in the hunt column, and that was kind of cool at 3-6. So I was like, wow, you know what? In our division, not too bad. And here's what's really funny. All four AFC East teams would actually be in the playoffs as of today. So it's kind of interesting to see what's going on right now. Don't count us out yet. Again, us, Pittsburgh Steelers, you never know what could happen. And having TJ Watt back, talk about a Watt of charge into what we needed to get things going. I thought we played pretty well. Obviously, we have Andy Dalton's number when it comes to being able to take advantage of his weaknesses. And the win was just good. 2010, I never really thought we were going to lose that game. There was, it's always a crapshoot when it comes to how we're playing lately, but we just really played well. And so for me, that was a great Sunday. And we did get flex, though, for the next one. So what you might have thought was, actually, I'm in California, 5:20 Pacific time, so 8:20 Eastern time is actually now at 1:20 my time, which would be 4:20 Pittsburgh time. So, yes, we have an afternoon game next week. So let's start off with what's going on around the league as far as a what the football situation. One to me is really funny. So Pete Carroll, I don't know if you ever watch him on the sideline, the Seattle Seahawks coach. He continually walks on the field. He comes on past that white line. You're not supposed to. You're not allowed to be on the field during play. And even after they blow the whistle, you have to stay on your side of the white line. I don't know if you've noticed, you've seen people that kind of push people back saying, get back. Remember a few years ago when Coach Tomlin kind of crossed that line, and I think it was Julio Jones that got tripped, somebody like that, and was not good. We got a flag and everything. Well, Pete Carroll finally got a flag for bumping into a referee being beyond the white line in the field. And guess where it had to happen for him to finally get flagged? Germany. So he went out there with his team, and Tom Brady kind of beat them, and it was quite the game in Germany. Actually, it was fun to watch. It was on at 6:30 a.m. My time in California, and they were singing Sweet Caroline and John Denver songs in the audience. It just looked like it was a good time. I know we go to London football, for football as well. But yeah, I don't know. There's something about the energy in Germany. It was pretty impressive to see, and it made me want to go there. So that was a great moment when it comes to the NFL, just having it, a little bit more international. We have games in Mexico, we have games in London, and now we have games in Munich, Germany. Now, in saying that, there was probably one of the stupidest play call I've ever seen from a team. And I don't know if this was Byron Leftwich or whatever. Even though Tampa Bay won 21-15 over Seattle, the play call was having Leonard Fournette, their running back, take a direct snap and pass to Tom Brady. Yes, TB12 was to the left. And of course, he's picked off. He is a 45-year-old quarterback that is basically, when he wins games, it's because of his football knowledge. It's not because his arm he is still accurate, but it's not because of his speed or his way to get downfield. So to do that was absolutely ridiculous. So let's stop doing that. That's just so dumb. And for those of us that don't understand why when the ball is kicked off and it's in the end zone, why are you running it out? Anybody, any team, you're going to get it at the 25-yard line. And how many times when you run it out do you either get a call for either blocking the back, or you get some kind of call, or you never get to the 25? It just makes no sense. So let's go to another crazy game. This was one of my favorite games of Sunday, and that would be Vikings at Buffalo. Now, everybody just assumed, because again, Kirk Cousins gets a bad rap. He gets it from me too. So even though he's one of my fantasy quarterbacks, he in the league, let me rephrase that, in a fantasy league. But I mean, they were sitting at 7-1, Buffalo coming in at 6-2. And I don't know what happened in this game, but it was back and forth, back and forth. Justin Jefferson, who in my opinion is the best wide receiver out there right now, he may be still young on his route running, but oh my gosh, that man with his catches, he goes up and the other team had the ball. The defender had the ball and he went up and pulled that ball down. And it was just absolutely insane. But in the last 2 minutes is really what you had to watch. If you can go and YouTube it, or if you have NFL Plus, you got to go watch it. It's 4th and 18, and they decide to throw it. And Justin Jefferson makes a one-handed circus catch for the first down. They're 4 points down, and then they don't get a touchdown, and because they think that, or they tried to do it with a quarterback sneak, and he didn't get in. So you think Buffalo wins. But then in the end zone, they fumble the snap. So Josh Allen basically missed the ball, and a linebacker falls on it for a Minnesota touchdown to tie it up. Then with 40 seconds left, Buffalo goes down the field and they tie it up for overtime. So what should have been a Booth incomplete pass also was not called in the game, and Buffalo ties it up 30-30. So in OT, the Vikings end up winning it 33-30 with a field goal. And at the last play, Allen throws an interception. And they said he's had several in the second half. I'm not sure what's going on with the Bills because I think they're one of the best teams out there. But in the second half of the last 3 games, this is a WTF. Poor run defense, poor decision making by Josh Allen, and turnovers. They've been outscored 43-12 in the second half over the last 3 weeks. Oh my gosh, for a team that's trying to get to the Super Bowl and one of the best in the AFC, they're going to need to figure things out. But hey, congratulations to the Vikings. And I'm just really afraid that Kirk Cousins had to take off more clothing. Because remember, every time they win, gold chains and another piece of clothes comes off. It's like a really bad game of strip poker. So let's take a look at what happened around the league. So Tua Tagovailoa, yep, he basically threw 3 touchdowns passes to lead Miami Dolphins over the Cleveland Browns, thank goodness. Kansas City Chiefs, they dominated the Jacksonville Jaguars. And good to the New York Giants, their defense was solid in a win against the Houston Texans. So that's all good there. So here is one that we weren't really sure how it was going to turn out, even though there was a lot of discussion. So the Indianapolis Colts, remember they named Jeff Saturday, a former linebacker or center, I should say, that they had as their new head coach or interim head coach. And he has no experience except in high school. Well, he started again with Matt Ryan as quarterback, a 66-yard run for Jonathan Taylor, and a win against the Las Vegas Raiders. What's really interesting about this is that I guess when he was working with ESPN, he basically 2 weeks ago, he said something like, the Raiders suck. They're just terrible. They're just not a good team. Well, he was right. He beat them in his first outing. So Jeff Saturday era for the Indianapolis Colts, and I'm sure Irsay is saying, told you. Yeah, we'll see. Green Bay Packers took down the Dallas Cowboys in overtime. Well, and they had a rookie wide receiver that was Christian Watson, who had 3 touchdown catches. So good for them. I'm not a Aaron Rodgers fan, as you know, but I'm less of a Dallas Cowboys fan, so there's that. Arizona Cardinals, they finally dominated and actually beat the Los Angeles Rams. And then closing out Sunday lineup, everybody says that the San Francisco 49ers are, overrated. Just think of how much money Jimmy Garoppolo could make with how cute he is if he was actually a good quarterback. But you know what? They beat the Los Angeles Chargers, and it's really hard for me because being in California, not to say San Diego Chargers every time, I still have that in my head. So they beat the Los Angeles Chargers, and, everybody's anointing Herbert as the second coming. He is okay, but he has a lot of work to do, become that second coming as they keep talking about. Now let's move to Monday Night Football. Well, the Eagles were coming in 8-0, and they were favored by, 1 million points against the Washington Commanders. And looking at Tyler Heineke, well, they did a great job. There was 3 turnovers, and they basically kicked out the last undefeated team. And so now the Eagles are 8-1. Washington Commanders are even now. They are 5-5, and away we go. It's just kind of interesting to see really what the identity is of these teams. What's going to be a moment with the Commanders, and again, the former Redskins. Washington needs to have a run game, and they finally figured it out. And they do have a run game, but here's what's going to happen. So remember, Carson Wentz is actually their starting quarterback. Tyler Heineke is their backup. Taylor Heineke. And so Wentz is eligible to be activated off injured reserve this week after spending the past 4 games nursing a broken right finger. So Taylor Heineke is 3-1 in his absence. So what are they going to do? Coaches believe Wentz maybe has the higher upside, but there's no denying what Heineke has meant to his teammates. So are they going to ride with the starter, or are they going to, what are they going to do? So it's going to be interesting to see how they do moving forward. Now, here's what's weird about the Eagles in that game. They didn't run the ball. Seriously, they had 4 running plays. What happened? It was absolutely a sloppy play. It was just a bad game. It was almost like they said, "Oh, it's Monday Night Football. We're 8-0 and we know better." And yeah, it was not good. And here's where we have to kind of take a look also with other teams around, because you wonder where star players are. I mean, in the 49ers, ever since they got Christian McCaffrey, we haven't even seen really George Kittle or anybody else out there. So it'll be interesting to see how they use that going forward, because you can't just win by running game. Do you need a running game basically so that you can have a passing game? Yes. And not every player can have a big game every week. So you're going to have to get some of your passers a little more involved, or it's going to fizzle out pretty quickly. Also, when we're dealing with or talking about the Rams, unfortunately, Cooper Kupp had a high ankle sprain injury. We don't know if he's out for the season. We don't know what's going on there, but hopefully prayers to him, because I like that player, and he didn't deserve that on the sideline. Cardinals, they're up 1 minute and down the next. I don't know what's next for them. The Rams, who are the defending Super Bowl champions, who knows what's going on with them, but they just don't have a running game. The Rams don't. They don't have anything really going on right now. So until they figure out what's going on with injuries and what's going out with Matthew Stafford as well, because he's had a few injuries and he's also in the concussion protocol, it's hard to know what's going to happen to the Rams at 3-6 at this point. The Raiders, well, I mentioned how dysfunctional they are and what a mess they are. And then the owner comes out and says, Josh McDaniels is doing a great job. Mark Davis, what games are you watching? You have no idea what's going on. But you know what? We're happy to see that the Raiders are doing so well for you. Nice job. Tennessee and Denver. Oh my gosh. How much again did they pay for Russell Wilson? Yeah, say it with me. $240 million. The Broncos, I mean, they have so many problems on offense. They've only had 12 touchdowns in 9 games. And, Jerry Jeudy suffered an ankle injury in the first play from scrimmage. Their center got kicked out from an injury. Their tackle left in the second half. And Russell Wilson, he's just got constant pressure, and he holds onto the ball too long. I know we used to hear that about Ben, but Ben was a different type of quarterback than he is. And they just can't seem to piece together any offense right now. So what they're in for, who knows? Now, the great thing was the Detroit Lions. They have a 2-game winning streak. Sorry, couldn't help it. But hey, you know what? For the team that they beat Chicago 31-30 and they were on Hard Knocks, they deserve a couple of wins. So good for you guys. Bless your heart. We hope you do a little better. Kansas City continues to roll 27-17 to Jacksonville. And even though the Jaguars have made strides in coaching, Doug Peterson's coaching the first season, they're just not consistent right now. One thing that did happen in the game is that Juju Smith-Schuster left Sunday's game with a concussion protocol. He actually had the same hands that Tua Tagovailoa had when he was hit and got in that protocol. So that was very scary because he's only 24 years old and definitely was concerning. And he is pretty much the wide receiver one. So what happens when he goes? Well, there's a new rookie on the field. His name is Kadarius Toney. I had him on my bench. I picked him up when I saw him getting some some love, I guess I should call it, in a couple of my fantasy leagues. And he was on my bench with 20 points. Oh my gosh. So yeah, so that's definitely going to be somebody I'm going to have to push in there. But the Steelers is really what I wanted to end with. Again, TJ Watt, his return made all the difference for the Steelers. The 2010 win over the New Orleans Saints, third win of the season, and he always draws extra attention. He had 4 tackles and a quarterback hit, and we lost Minkah Fitzpatrick this week to appendicitis. We probably won't see him for another week. But I have to say, the defense put together one of its best performances of the season with 2 interceptions and 2 sacks, and they held the Saints to just 3 of 11 on third down stops, which is where we've really had a problem. And so it was just a really great day of football, and it ended on a happy note. And also, we're now up against the Cincinnati Bengals in our division. We really need a good game again. We picked up a really good ground game with Najee back on the field, looking like the best version of himself from 2021. 217 yards on the ground we had, and he also ripped off a 36-yard run in the first half, and we haven't had that in a really long time. And so he finished the game with 99 yards on 20 carries. He also did fumble for the first time, and we saw him get put on the sideline for a couple of plays. And so Jaylen Warren went in, but I'm glad they didn't lose confidence in him because we need him. We need Warren, and I think they complement each other quite a bit. I really like what Jaylen Warren's doing out there. He's a little more explosive than Najee, but when you need that rumbling running back to, get those little extra yards, he's in there too. So everyone, good thoughts. Prayers ahead for our next game against the Cincinnati Bengals. Sunday, 4:25 Eastern, and we hope everyone just makes it a great day, a great rest of your week, and thank you for listening to the WTF Podcast through Steel City Underground.
We would like to thank you for listening and remind our listeners to follow us on social media and our website, www.steelcityunderground.com.